I would like to introduce you to my history timeline now. It has 5 different sections. The biggest ones are the BC and CE. Each one, BC has 200 pages because it goes back farther years, um, with 397 pages of text. The Common Era one has 160 pages because it only goes 200 years, 2,000 years from zero to present. BC goes from 0 to 5,000 years back. And the 80 section has 2,391 pages. So, future section as well has 160 pages. Each page is about a page of text right now. It hasn't been filled in yet. I haven't gotten that far. And then I have prehistory pages, 58 of those, which go out in the different time dimensions, which I'll explain. And that's 83 pages of text right now. It's still in its beginner stages. And then I have the 3,000 years back section, which has 2 pages, one from present to 500 and then 500 to 3,000 years back, so they're 1,500 years. It's like twice as big as this one. So anyway, let's talk about it all. So this is a complete history timeline. So let's have this thing read to us, and then I will explain.
Welcome to the Complete World History Timeline. The purpose of this timeline is to make it so the user is able to memorize all of the events that ever happened in recorded history, and categorize and classify them into any context that they need to, so that they are history literate. When someone is history literate, they are able to identify the types of current events and predict what their results will be. The more of us who are history literate, the better DESI ions we will be able to make regarding our present and future conditions. 1. The complete history timeline includes everything that ever happened in the entirety of recorded and non-recorded history, as well as the future. 2. The entire collection of the timeline is divided into 6 interlinkable sections: 1 prehistory, 2 BC, 3 CE, 4 5 3,000 years back condensed A and B, and 6 future. The prehistory goes as far back as 15 billion years, and the future goes 52,000 years into the future, for a total time span of 15,052,000 years, or 15,052,000 years. 3. The historical events on the timeline are in a list format with 5 columns per page. I have found this to be the perfect number of columns to have side by side in a page with lists in them because it is the most visually symmetrical, with 1 column in the middle and 2 on each side of that, as well as the most mentally symmetrical, with multiples of 5. You can grow it through the exponent in a continuously symmetrical way, such as 1 to 5, 5 to 50, and so on. The width of the columns for lists is also the best with 5 because most subjects of a list can be condensed down to the number of words that would almost take up the width of the column, so the most amount of space is being used. 4. The bulk of the timeline is in the BC and CE sections. In these sections, each column represents 100 years, and the width of the page represents 500 years. The other 4 pages condense time differently. The 2 3,000-year back pages condense time 5 times more than the BC and CE pages, so that each column represents 500 years instead of 100 years, and the width of the page represents 2,500 years instead of 500 years. Part A goes from 2000 CE to 500 BC, and Part B goes from 500 BC to 3000 BC. The timeline condenses time into 12 total time dimensions. There are 4 time dimensions for the future, 1 for the BC and CE sections, a special 1 for the 3,000 years concept section, and 9 for the prehistory section. In the future sections, the time dimensions increase by a factor of 10 twice and 5 once. In the prehistory section, they increase by a factor of 5, 4, 3, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10. 5 at the top of each page is the traditional horizontal timeline section. 6. Each page divides the different parts of the world into 16 sections created from the 19 United Nations subregions. 7. The timeline is linked so that you can navigate to any United Nations subregion within the current page, or navigate to any one of the other 500-year pages within the section, as well as navigate 1 page forward or backward. 8. The events are divided into 99 event types that are created by the combination of one of the 11 event categories and one of the 9 event causes. 9. The event types are color and font coded in their text and borders to reflect their event category and event cause.
So, the idea of the timeline is to make it so that you can memorize all of the events that ever happened in history and categorize them, classify them in any context that you need to, so that you'll be history literate. So, I think that's possible to do that. If you get interested in it and you just keep studying it and studying it, you'll be able to know all of it, if you know how big it is. So, it includes everything that ever happened in history and the entirety of recorded and non-recorded history, as well as the future. So, everything we know about non-recorded history. So I can include everything because we don't know everything, so we can put it all in there. And then recorded history is even limited, so you can include that as well, all of that in there. So non-recorded history goes back really far, so you have to have it extend back in time in an exponential way, because you know things in history exponentially as it goes back in time. Exponentially less as it goes exponentially back. So I have it grow exponentially. Yeah, it's included. It's important to have everything that ever happened in history because then it helps you study because whenever somebody's studying something, sometimes you get bored and you want to study something else, another part of whatever you're studying. You want to skip around. If you're reading a book, you get bored and you just want to read the end of it. And so, for people who just want to read the end of it and then get back to the beginning and then do the middle and learn in a non-linear way, which is what my website is designed around, learning stuff, being able to just skip around, then you need to be able to know where the end is. So just don't. You have to have everything. You don't want to say, okay, so here you have someone here. This is a castle. This is one of the bigger castles. You say, no, this is castle number 526 out of 1192, and you have them numbered, exactly, and it's numbered in terms of something, like how big it is or when it was built, and all the text about it. It's possible to know everything because it's limited. There's only like 1,000 or whatever in the world, so that's why it has to be hit complete, and that's what I'm going to explain here. And you can even illustrate it visually. See, I can't even. It's a lot easier to. It condenses knowledge. If you know something that's complete, then it makes it all seem smaller. If you don't know where the outer boundaries of it are and how many of there are, and how big it actually is, then it makes it kind of seem like it goes out forever and it's unfathomably big and it's gigantic. Kind of like this. And when it's spread out vertically, 1, 2, 3 down like this, if it had to get all the way to 100, it would be way off the page, and so I had to just quit. And once it gets off the page, you could go off who knows how long, so it seems really big. People use this optical illusion in television, for example, in game shows and talk shows. They pan around to the audience and they just pan right before the edge, and then pan around and to make it the audience seem bigger. When you're actually in there, it's only like 50 people or something. So. And so here in the condensed grid, you see it'll go all the way to 100, and it fits much smaller than if this were to go way off the page. And so this is, you can make stuff complete. It's possible to be complete if you condense it. When you can't, then it can't be complete. So there's the completeness, and so. It's divided into 6 interlinkable sections. So the section you can interlink between its sections. So in the prehistory, you can link between the prehistory. And I'll link to that in a second. Actually, let's do that right now. You can't link to it from that page because I needed to change something. So if you're going to go to the prehistory section, like 0 to 30,000 years back, you can go anywhere else in the prehistory section. You can go all the way to 15 billion years. So if this is where Atlantis loses land 30,000 years ago, well, you can be like, well, what happened 15 billion? The archaeological eon happened 3 billion. And then if you want to go all the way to 15 billion, I don't have the other one below it because I don't have anything recorded yet, but I should have it below. But yeah, so you can just jump around all the way from 30,000 to 15 billion. So that is what I mean by interlinkable sections. So you have prehistory, you have BC. I'll show you BC. So that was the prehistory one. right here, and they're all shown by columns. You have 5 columns here. So here's the 500-year cross one. So like this is West Europe. There was nothing. I don't have it filled in yet, but that's how you can see it for the navigation bar. This one's really simple. So let's show the other one. I just showed prehistory. So here's BC. My favorite BC section is like the beginning of Rome, and my most interesting. And I haven't had a chance to fill this in, and I'm just so like excited to do it. Oh my god, I just want to so bad. Oh, pretty soon. So here's South Europe from 1000 to 500, and you can see how BC works. It goes all the way to 5000 BC down to 0, down to the Christ. So, and so if you want to get to the AD, you'd have to jump across from here and then jump forward and go back to the timeline. So here's the interlinkable section of BC. Look at BC. You have the cross with Sparta was at the same time as Rome, and archaic Greece, and Alba. This is pretty simple. Alba Longa was taken over by Rome. So then AD is a little bit different. This is my favorite section of AD, my most complete section, North Europe, 1500 to 2000. And it is, you can go in these sections, so 0 to 500, 500 to 1000, all the way up in 500 sections to the present. But then, kind of like with the BC, was in 500-year sections down to 5000 BC. But then here it actually time dimension changes, and 50 years is a page. So 1900 to 1950, 1950 to 2000, and then it condenses again from 2000 to 2005, 2005 to 2010. So, because that's kind of when I was building it before 2010. Maybe I should fix that a little bit, but because present history is more important, there's more going on. Contemporary history. So here's the section that goes from 5000 to 1000, 1500 to 2000, across in North Europe, all the different kingdoms. I'll explain this later though, because this is its own thing. And then future is it increases exponentially. So 2000 to 2050, and then 2050 to 2100, and then 2000 to 2500, 2500 to 3000, and then 3000 to 2500, and then 2500 to 4000. So 500-year sections for 4 of them. But then it goes up from present up to 7,000, and it condenses, and then the present up to 52,000. But I haven't filled that in yet. So, but you fill that in after you're done with the past. You figure out the past, then you'll be able to know the future. And so those are the different the 5 different sections that I have of my timeline. Okay. Oh, I'm on my education page. Let's go back to the timeline page. So that's these guys. So it's a total of 15,052,000 years, because it goes 15 billion in the past and then 52,000 years in the future. Okie dokie. So the historical events of the timeline are in a list format with 5 columns. So that's what I explained on the front page of my website. It's the perfect number of columns because the lists are only about as it's a perfect number of columns for a list because it's visually symmetrical. You have the column in the middle. The column in the middle here with the 2 columns on the side. So it condenses it down and makes it easy to navigate through. And it's also mentally symmetrical because the multiples of 5 can grow. So when you want to make years grow and shrink symmetrically, you can do that easily. And the width is the best because you can condense it down to number of words would take up the width of the column, so the appropriate number of space. So look, like this one, they don't, just names of countries with what number they are, it doesn't have to take up double. So you can pack them side by side and you can see, have it nicely organized and have it condensed that way. And even if you're writing more stuff, like with my timeline, here I'll show you that. Go to my education page. So the most developed page on my timeline is North Europe, 1500 to 2000. And you're looking here at the of England, the most developed country, and this in the list format. Great Britain. And so all the different things are color coded, and so you got the thing about the information about the king, his title, and it all kind of fits kind of in a block, kind of like in a square block. If it has more, like these are all of his wives, and all of his wives fit in kind of like a unit, like a block, something that you can see and understand and can stand out, and you can also move across 100 years across quickly this way. And yeah, so I like making things look like a square, even though it's text, is, I think, a visual. It makes the stuff make sense, and it can make a lot of text kind of condensed down. I mean, look at this list, all 5 of these. If you were to copy and paste all of the words here, even though they're all these different fonts, let's see how many words that is. That is 8,376 words. So what we're looking at here, 8,376. That's 33.5 pages. So like 34 pages right here. 34 pages of text. So if you're reading a book for 34 pages, okay, that seems like a lot, doesn't it? I got to read 34 pages. Well, look what it covers. Oh wait, it covers all the way down to. It's not just what you see. I'm stoned, and that doesn't even include the, I guess, the end of this. I mean, if you wanted to, here, let's do this right. So maybe we'll go down all the way to the whoa, all the way to the end. Oh my God, this keeps going. Well, I don't know how to cover text that you can see, but just England, just what we could see without the 1900s was 34 pages, but it was just condensed stuff. I didn't say there wasn't 80 years war here. It's just 80 years war. I'd like to figure out how to see how much text is right here that we can see. But sorry about that, Snafu. Anyway, the 5 column is the best way to condense, I think. So, now the other thing is the bulk of the timeline is in this BC and CE sections. They represent 100 years, and the width of the page is 500 years across. So, and the other 4 pages, they condense time differently. So, so this page condenses it like like each column is 500 years, where normally on these ones the whole page is 500 years. And then in the future it just goes way out. So you have 12 total time dimensions. and they increased by a factor of 10, even 4 times in a row in the BC section. So I think I'll show that right now. Let's show that. Let's show the mechanics of that right now. So the prehistory page, this goes to 30,000 years across. This is 2,000 years. And so this is 30,000 years back. I mean 6,000. This is 6,000 years, yeah, right here. So this is 30,000 years. But this page goes to 300,000 years. So there's 10 of these sections. I don't have more of them because I don't have it built yet, but there are going to be 10 of these stacked up. And this is just the first 30,000 years. So 6,000 years across. And that's the first. Now, if you wanted it to go out even more, it's going to go out by 10. So instead of 30,000 years across back, with 6,000 years across, you're going to go 300,000 years back with, hang on. I'm sorry. That was the 300,000 years back. This is the 30,000 years back. So each column is 2,000 years. So this is 10,000 years back, and there's 3 of them. So then you go this, and instead of 2,000 years, it's 60 to 66. Okay, I'm confused. Links are broken. Well, it goes out even more. Here, we'll go this way. We'll go back this way. I don't know how the links got broken. So this is the 30,000 year section. There's only 3 of them. And then you go to 300,000 years back. And it's 6,000 years across the column and 30,000 years across the page. Whereas this one was, just, oh man, this is where the links are screwed up. This one. 2,000 years across the column and 10,000 years across the page. So 2,000 years across column, 10,000 years across the page, to 6,000 years across column, 30,000 years across the page, up to 60,000 years across the column, to 300,000 years across the page. That goes back 3 million years, and then you want the one that goes back 30 million years is 600,000 years across the column and 3 million years across the page for 10 of these stacked on top of each other for 30 million years. And then 300 million years back, 6 million years across the column, 30 million years across the page, and 10 of them stacked on top of each other for 300 million years. Oh, and I have these as different pages, so it's not like I don't have them built already. So this is the first, and then you go to the next one. And I'll explain this in just a second after I have explained just the different size dimensions. So that was 300 million years back. So then it's 3 billion years back. You're still going out in the factor of 10 because it goes up factor of 10 4 times in a row. So here's 60 million years across with 300 million years across, 60 million years across the column, 300 million years across the base. So if you wanted to look at this like a microscope, look, check it out. This is how you do it like a microscope. This is 3 billion, so you're on this page. Now check it out. 300 million, 30 million, whoops, broken link. And then it should say 3 million, and then 300,000, and then 30,000. So how does it expand out? Wow, wow, expanding out. Like you're looking at time with a microscope. See what I'm saying? And then it goes all the way out to 3 billion, 15 billion, where it's like 3 billion across. So I'll fix the links later. So yeah. So let me show you, some of these cool pages though within the inner workings of it. 5,000 year Mayan age, and then You have the great years, epochs of the going around of the solar system, and then 3 million years back. These are the revolutions of the solar system called great years. So they're like years. So 60 million years is they're like 30 million years. So you can see how this all stuff happened. So and then just wanted to show something else that was kind of cool. Oh, that's what I was just looking at. 3 million. And then 30 million. These are those great years, condensed even more, mixed in with the epochs. So it just goes back. So that's prehistory. It's kind of the least developed. And then BC, like I showed before, my favorite section is, well, actually, the most developed section is going to be, because it's 42 pages of text you see here, is South Europe from 500 BC to 0. The vertical part is not really all that explained. I guess I explained that later, but here's the, or the horizontal, here's the vertical. Here's the era of the consuls. There's the Roman Republic. They'd only be in charge for a year, so it's all about the consuls. Yeah, but there were wars and stuff too. And then here's England, or ancient Greece. So that was explaining all of the different condensate. Oh yeah, time, moving it in and out like a microscope. Now I don't have a good way of showing yet how I did show it. Same thing, move in and out. The best thing that I could show was the these great years. See the great year, 3 million, and then you go to 30 million, and the great year gets smaller, like this. 3 million, broken leg. 3 million. So, and then see here's the great year here, and then it gets even bigger. So if you're looking at something in a telescope, it's the same thing. Voila. Smallest. Oops, I don't even have. I can't. The link doesn't work. But anyway, it's cool to show different things like that. I can't do it yet, but so those are the time dimensions with the timeline. So now at the top of each page is a traditional horizontal timeline section, and this is what people are used to normally. And the most developed page, I'll show how that works. I do have that. That's this here, horizontal. So you can see everything on top of each other. You know that George II lived at the same time as Khloe, or whatever his name was, the 7th, and that the Stuart dynasty was at the same time as the Oldenburg dynasty. You know, that the Hesse dynasty. These guys controlled both of these countries. See, these countries are ones that I choose countries that are independent now, but in these days they weren't, so they were controlled by the same guy. So instead of saying the guy twice, I just have, you know, the dynasty who controls them. So I know they're controlled by Sweden, or the dynasties, and everything's on top of each other. And I'll have wars here later too. So and have it linkable too. It's a good way to link stuff. Like if you click here, it'll take you down to the vertical section. So the horizontal section of the timeline is pretty self-explanatory. Now each page divides it into 16 different United Nations sections. So that's what this is all about up here. These are the United Nations sections. So this is North Europe. It's a United Nations section of North Europe that has these countries. These are for linking up. I'll explain that later. But these countries, it has these countries in it. So North Europe, and that's here. And it moves, and you move in like the way that looks at the map. So North Europe is on the northeastern part of the world globe. West Europe is to the west of it, you know, and then Africa is below Europe, so you have it here, and then Asia's off to the east. with Oceania, and America even farther east. So here's another one, West Europe. West Europe has these countries here, so it's just a way to divide. So you have like kind of the same way you would divide ancient Rome, 10 group, like 10, kind of like each United Nations has like 10 groups. Let's see how it is actually, because I have it down here. Here's me explaining exponential time dimension, and you can see how it grows up exponentially. Grows up exponentially by a factor of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. For that, factor of 5, factor of 4, factor of 3, and then 10. And then future is 10, 10, 5. I should explain that before. Anyway, how the world is organized. Here's the traditional timeline. I'm showing a demonstration of everything here. Can give room. Okay, here's how the world is organized. Here are the 6 different world areas, and then the 19. There's 19 different UN subregions. So I have it divided into 16 different areas, or 5 different areas here. So America is here as one, and then Oceania is by itself, and then you have Asia here. So Asia, Oceania, and America is this side here, and then this side you have Europe, which is the top one, and then Africa on the bottom, right? Europe, Africa, Asia, and then this one is America and Oceania. So 4 different sections, and then each one of these has its own little country. So to make it symmetrical here, and this is what they look like on the map. And so yeah, they kind of organize it in terms of culture and like that. So then you have 5 different United Nations. So here are the 5 different United Nations subregions and all the different countries in them. So Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania, and America. Oceania doesn't have subregions. It just has Oceania. So it has 14 countries. And this is how I list stuff. I didn't explain this, but I list stuff. 100. It's number 150 on the entire list, but 1 on the local list. So that's how it works. 1 is before the 150. And so in the Americans, you have the 4 different subregions. Actually, Caribbean is its own, maybe, but yeah, and then each one has like an average, I guess, of 10 countries. So, like Central America has 7 countries, North America has 3. And so these are all the countries in the world that I have on my timeline. And then the linking system is just like this. Do I have anything written about it up here? Is linked so that you can navigate to any of the subregions within the current page and navigate to the other 5 in your section. So yeah, I'd like to have it linked to each country too, maybe, but we'll see. So, and then the events are divided into 99 event types that are created by the combination of 11 event categories and one of the 9 event causes. So down here, oh, did I skip this? How it's color and font coded? Yeah, it's color and font coded, which I explained on the front page of my website. So here's the acronyms, what they mean for acronyms and wars, to make it condense the information. So here's the 99 different event categories. You have 11 different kind of events, which are actually divided up into 4 different types of events. So you would have like political types of events, and you have positive events, negative events, and then people. So out of the political type of events, there's 3. There is your country, which comes up, the city, which is a little bit smaller, and then the building. So the building could be like a political event, or you're a political, individual political, independent political country, like a castle, like a Crusader castle. That castle can be the stronghold of the area and call it like a independent polity. So from big to small, country, city, building. City would be like the city-state. Country would be like maybe a bigger city-state. And then the positive event would be an invention, cultural event, something that happened that created something, culture, and then a law. And then negative event would be a war, battle, or disaster, and then people would be divided into leader and scholar. So I have all these progress through the normal color progression. And so then I have the event causes. So those are divided into three: practical, culture, and theoretical. So practical event cause would be conflict, transportation, trade, or technology. So like a practical cause, like a conflict, that's like the first thing, like a war. So like a conflict, so number one conflict mixed with number one country would be like a war for space. And I actually have it, so I have it explained down here. Here's my 99 event type list. So let's see, country war. That would be, like a country of war would be an absolute monarchy. So that's what you get when you mix conflict with country. So it's like there's a conflict cause a country, and then so you have an absolute monarchy. And so that goes with that for everything. And it's it would be complicated to explain it, and I'd have to do that in its own video. So that's basically how that works, though. So like if you have a natural cause to a cultural event, that would be 5 and 5. So cultural event with a natural cause, that would be like just like a new music, a new song. Like nobody knows, some weird dude just popped up and started singing a song. So of the 99 things you can classify and categorize. And I haven't done it all yet, but I have, like a science with actors, an actor, a dancer, and or a scholar mixed with entertainment would be an actor and dancer. Scholar mixed with art would be artist. Scholar mixed with religion would be like a religious founder, whereas a leader mixed with religion would be like a religious leader, like in a religious type of country. So that's how those work. And that's the list of all the different event types in the 5-column list. And here's the chart. And it charts the side chart showing it with all the different fonts for all the different 99 different things. And here's to link to all the different 618 different pages. The links don't work right now. I need to fix it. So that is basically describing my timeline. If you want to go to like read it, it just condenses energy or information. So if you're looking at a war, here's a battle. You wanted to know what World War I was all about, you could just read this and you'll know that it was 8.66 million people on the Allied, and where is the bad guys? Oh yeah, Versus is way down here. So this is the whole information of the whole war. Okay, so so you had a total of 8.66 million people fight a total of 13.25 million people. So I didn't know the Central Axis had more people by almost like double, but and these are all the people and how much they brought, starting with the biggest, most people. So in British Empire the most, 8.84 million, and then France 8.66, and Russia 12. I guess I didn't organize it by size here, but and here is how many people died. This is in my coding page, so you're just supposed to memorize what all these mean, when it's done. So then you can just look at it and be like, whoa, that's how big that is, and compare all the wars that way. And when they're all shown the same exact way, you can be interested in different wars. Like, well, I was interested in that other war. I wonder what it looks like on the timeline. So and then you can go to individual battles. So in the Battle of Gallipoli, it was Turkey. It was in Turkey. Purple means orange means it's in Turkey, and it was the Ottomans versus the British. So Ottomans is modern day Turkey versus the British. The Ottomans had 315.5 million people,
and it was 6 then, and then after 15 divisions throughout the battle. Now, it couldn't have been 316 million people in that battle, so it must have been like 315 people was in the battle. And then 251 people died, which is 60%. And then it was the British who had 489 people, and the France had, oh no, this was a ship. I'm sorry, I don't have these memorized yet. Yeah, so France had 79, and then they lost 5, so with a total of 220 lost, so 59% lost. So now the people who are in the first are win. So the Ottomans won Battle of Gallipoli, I can see, because it's first, even though they lost more people percentage-wise, but it was just by a little bit. So you can see here it was just a hardcore battle. Yeah, and they were outnumbered. So sorry, I can't explain this better with my not at that level of development. But over here you have movies. If you want to know a movie about the first Englishman to sail around the world, Francis Drake. And this is, this is travel, because it's orange, and then it's like scholarly leader. That looks like actually the font of leader, or whatever. Anyway, and he was in the time of Henry VII. No, he was in the time of Elizabeth. Here we are. Elizabeth. She's this color. And this is all the stuff that happened within Elizabeth, by the way. So you have Elizabeth here, and everything under Elizabeth until you get to the next king, which is written in big blue, which will be this guy, James I, is everything that happened under Elizabeth's reign. So you had all these guys, and all these inventions, and so if you wanted to just look at inventions, the history of inventions, all you have to do is tune your eye to this green border and the green font, and just scan for green and go, okay, invention, where are the inventions, scan, okay, cool, invention, and then if you go, oh, cool, now I want to do laws or companies, then you just scan for the purple, and then you can just scan, and when you have different fonts and different borders and stuff, it makes you easier to scan for certain things you're looking for. So that's why I have it like this, and have it all condensed, especially for the battles, so that you can have it all. Like I have the entire information for World War I right here. Boom. And how many words is this, by the way? Let's find out really quickly. I have all of the information. I know right here in this many words in just a little block that is, your whole hand can cover. I have as many soldiers entered and died on the entire world, all the countries in World War I, and including who won, and which countries were the ones who won, and who lost, and how much people lost, how much each person lost, and it was all in 139 words, which is like 280, a little over half of a page of text. A little over half of a page of text, and we have all that information about World War I, and it just fits that much space. So there's two remarkable things about this. Number one, it says all that information about World War I in just a little over half a page of text. And number two, that half page of text we're talking about fits in an area like smaller than a cell phone. So it's the condensation of information at its height, because you can already understand what all it means through the font and the color of everything. So that's the concept behind the vertical timeline, and the font and colors codeds of everything. So if you wanted to go to the city, to my timeline, God, I'm so high, I'm not seeing random words. You can go forward and backward, So if you're tracing like England, you're just tracing England here, tracing England here. Okay, what happened? So just go to previous. Okay, so you're tracing England back. What happened? Tracing England back. Oh, now we're here. 500 to 900s. Dumfries and Meade, and Trippy. What's the list? Oh wow, how many different countries? And this will link to there. But then if you're like, well, what was happening in South Europe, like Rome and stuff, in the time of Kingdom of Fortrio and Mede? Because I heard of, maybe they were, it's the Kingdom of Asturias in Spain. And the Lombard Kingdom had just died in England and Italy. Oh, what's happening in North America? Oh, Chichen Itza, El Tajín, interesting. So you can just jump around like this. And then you can also jump around in time. So if you're looking at like South Europe from 1500 to 900, and then you can go all of a sudden, oh, what was happening like in the Roman Empire though? Oh, right, the Christian persecutions, and you had the 5 good emperors that came right after the Flavian dynasty. What was happening during the time of the Roman Empire in China? In like East Asia and China. Well, let's see. Ooh, all these Goguryeo Kingdom and the Yayoi period in Japan and trippy. But you can jump around a lot like this way too, like that. From this way, from these. So anyway, I'll explain that later. So that's basically the concept of my complete history timeline, because it's complete, because as you can see these lists, it's going to have, throughout the history, it's going to have every single king, war. Like, where's the war? We've got to have a war on this thing somewhere. Rebellion, everything ever, because it's lists that I get off Wikipedia that ever happened. So it's complete. So that's why it's a complete timeline. Okay, peace out.